News 12 Midday in high definition starts now.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jessica Dill. Aiken County homeowners are weighing the good and the bad this midday. County Council members decided last night to keep the millage rate the same, 69.9. That is the same rate since 2007. While this may sound like a home run for homeowners, some wonder how far a dollar can stretch without more money trickling into the budget. Some services may not have enough cash to operate. Coming up first at 5, we're going to look at what services may get cut. Now, across the river, the Augusta City survey results are in, and not many people are weighing in. Out of about 200,000 people, 659 filled out the survey. Folks weighed in a host of different city services. Among the things they thought were good: trash collection, parks and rec, and water and sewer systems. Roads and bridges and animal services were all rated poorly. People want more money to go to the sheriff's office, fire department, and roads and bridges. Another big talking point: the power of the mayor and the commission. On News 12 at 6 o'clock, we'll break down what some of you are saying and who you think should have more power. Georgia Governor's Tourism Conference is kicking off today right here in Augusta. You may see a lot of people going in and out of the Augusta area today through Friday. The conference starts up at 1:30 and this year's theme is Staying Current. More than 500 tourism pros are here to talk about new ways to attract visitors to the Peach State. And it is a pretty day to talk about tourism in the Garden City. We are looking out to St. Sebastian Way in Augusta. Meteorologist Tim Strong has a look at the forecast. Tim.
Yes.
Thank you, Tim. We are now learning the company building the MOX facility at SRS wants to push back the finish date by a decade. The watchdog group Savannah Riverside Watch says back in May, Shaw Areva MOX Services asked to move the finish date from 2015 to 2025. SRS Watch says they do not believe the extension was actually approved. President Barack Obama put the project on a cold standby, meaning its future is in jeopardy. Construction on MOX will go until at least September 30th. From the education team, Dr. Angela Pringle is now officially Richmond County's first female superintendent. After yesterday's contract approval, she's prepping for tomorrow's ceremony. Dr. Pringle's first day was mostly about meeting and greeting at central office, but squeezed in one school visit with more coming up.
October, get into every school. My goal is to visit 3 schools per day, so mid-October or so, my goal is to complete that process. Every parent wants the best for their own child, but I'm coming after the parents. We want them involved.
Her 3-year contract will pay about $170,000 a year. The board expects her to get parents involved, and Pringle says she's ready for the task. Crews are trying to figure out what caused a house fire on Avalon Court near Windsor Spring Road this morning. Dispatch says the back of the house was filled with flames just after 1 this morning. The fire is out and no one was hurt in the process, but a dog is still missing. Commissioner Donnie Smith is ending a long career with the Georgia State Patrol. Last night at the commission meeting, he spoke about his decision to retire with GSP.
That's a decision that only I can make, and I have determined that the responsibilities on the commission are different than having to be physical with violators on the side of the road.
Smith was injured during the Atlanta Olympic bombings and says he is taking medical retirement. He says he has not decided about his spot on the commission yet. Now, details of the GSP investigation will not be made public until after it's all over. Commissioners and GSP co-workers have nothing but high remarks for Smith while he was with GSP and in the Augusta Commission. Well, this sound probably won't cost you any more than usual in Augusta. Augusta commissioners, they were thinking about raising alcohol license fees by 10%, but they approved an ordinance without raising the fees. Restaurants that turn into a bar after 9 at night will see a new $400 regulatory fee starting January 1st. Now, the city says it will use the money to inspect businesses. And South Carolina's longest-serving sheriff is expected in court today. James Metz is facing charges in a federal bribery case. Today should just be a pre-trial meetup. He's pleaded not guilty to bribery, conspiracy, and wire fraud after prosecutors say he let friends buy favors. Right now, he's suspended from his Lexington County Sheriff's position. President Obama is promising to build a coalition to, quote, degrade and destroy the ISIS militants who have beheaded 2 American journalists. Craig Boswell tells us about the warning from ISIS if the U.S. continues airstrikes. A Florida senator says he will introduce legislation that would let the president launch airstrikes against ISIS in Syria when Congress gets back together next week. And Whole Foods announced its grand opening on Facebook. Mark your calendars for September 23rd. You'll get to see inside the shop at the Washington Crossing Shopping Center on that Tuesday. Edgefield County is showing off its new Smart 911 system today. With Smart 911, you create a profile to include specifics like your address, what you're allergic to, and even if you need a code to get into a gate. Well, this can get an emergency responder to you quicker. There is a live demonstration today at 2 at the Edgefield County 911 Center on Railroad Street. After a Wisconsin girl was stabbed nearly 20 times by her classmates, what's next for the survivor and the girls accused of the crime?
Well, weather-wise, you step outside, all you feel is summer, and it's still live and kicking. Rest of the week, we're going to be seeing temperatures well above average. The chance for maybe a few scattered thunderstorms each day. We'll take a look at your forecast next. Jess?
Thank you, Tim. CVS is saying no to tobacco. We're going to tell you when they plan to stop selling cigars and cigarettes in stores. From the health team today, CVS is focusing on health with a new brand redesign. Cigars and cigarette shoppers will only see nicotine gum behind the counter from now on. CVS says it's kicking the habit and will stop selling tobacco starting today, nearly a month earlier than expected. Also, CVS Caremark will now be known as CVS Health. New this midday, a North Carolina-based group says obstetrician Rick Sacra of Boston is the person infected with Ebola. After weeks of battling Ebola, Nancy RICHMOND spoke for the first time just now, saying there were mornings in Liberia where she woke up surprised she was still alive. Now, the doctor in charge of treating RICHMOND and Kent Brantley says he doesn't know if Sacra will head to Emory Hospital. At least 7 Tennessee teens are on the loose this midday from a juvenile detention center. That's after 30 escaped on Monday night. The facility has a long history of violence and even allegations of sex abuse. Back in 2004, more than a dozen teens hurt 16 staffers while trying to break free. Officials say this time the teens kicked out metal panels under the windows, ran out, and slipped under a fence. The girl who survived 19 stab wounds by SLENDERMAN-obsessed friends is back in the classroom. The 12-year-old is in the middle of her second day of 7th grade. Her family says she spent the summer in doctor's offices and she's been excited to go back to school in Wisconsin. The 2 girls accused of plotting to kill the 12-year-old were apparently trying to impress a fictional SLENDERMAN character. A judge ordered one of the teens in the case to go to treatment instead of trial. A Georgia woman and a Virginia man pled guilty to stuffing contraband into baseballs and tossing them over a South Georgia prison fence. The man pled guilty to tossing over weed. The Waycross woman pled guilty to providing an inmate in Brunswick with a cell phone. The FBI says the 2 took apart loaded baseballs and then threw them straight into the rec yard. And we're on your side with a possible breach at Home Depot. Experts say if this breach is true, this could be even bigger than the one that compromised 40 million cards at Target over the holidays. The home improvement store is working with banks and law enforcement to investigate some unusual activity. Within 100 miles of Augusta, there are 26 Home Depots.
Today on Eating Well with Kim, we continue talking about dinner in a bowl.
Yes, and we have a delicious roasted eggplant and couscous bowl coming up after the break.
A national petition created by a person in Hephzibah asking for a new law to give authorities money for body cameras. We take a look at the petition and what it could mean for authorities in Richmond County. Then at News 12 at 6 o'clock, we are digging into the documents involving an illegal personal care home in Richmond County, what state investigators found while visiting the home. And researchers say a 2-year study shows making music helps sharpen students' brain power.
The founder of the Harmony Project in LA says the low-income children in their program usually graduate high school and head off to a big university.
Researchers who followed some of these kids say training the brain to process sounds helps their ability to read and also speak. Did you play an instrument? Yeah, you still do. You're a keyboard still.
Well, I kind of delved in all around. Drums, stand-up bass.
I did piano.
Strum,
Thanks for
drums,
joining us today.
keyboards.
That's why you have such big brains. Be sure to join Richard and Laura.
Best weatherman ever.